Very very nice verses here. So the sun because Atma. Sun is because of the Atma sun, and is sun like Atma. So that is the idea. So the sun, what does the sun do? The sun moves around and lights up everything else. And it lights because everything is dependent upon the sun. And the sun also lights up what? The sun lights up the lotus, causes the lotus to bloom. The lotus blooms in the presence of the sun. And this is a very common Vedanta metaphor. The lotus is likened to the heart, which is closed due to sorrow, pain, distrust, lack of shraddha, and all these things. So the sun is the sunlight of knowledge, and the sunlight of knowledge makes the heart open. That is the idea. It makes the heart open. How does the heart open? The heart opens because of this knowledge of oneness, which is being given by the sun. And what kind of sun? The sun of oneness, one sun. So, this one yati, which is the light of all lights, roaming around in the space of consciousness, gives this knowledge to the people, blesses the people with the thought rays of this knowledge, vritti jnanam. The knowledge is always in the form of vritti, and so this is the since the knowledge is in the form of vritti, then vritti means thoughts. So then in the teaching situation there is one akhandakara vritti that is created, a vritti of oneness. That's when one has an aha moment. Oh, I think I got it. And that is what is the vritti of oneness. That is what it is. And so this vritti of oneness is the one that is causes the heart to open. Yes, I know I'm not this. I know I'm not small. I know I'm all. That understanding. So the vritti of oneness, the sage freely gives in the form of the sun rays, which open the hearts of the people who have reverted from all kinds of wrongdoing. And that's why even the Upanishad is told, in the Upanishad, Kathopanishad, it says, do not give this knowledge to anybody who has not come back from wrongdoing. Na avarito duscharitat. The one who has not returned from wrongdoing, na deyam, this knowledge must not be given. So like this, it talks. And so this also, that's why sajjananam, for the people, good people, dharmic people, then only the hearts are caused to blossom with the knowledge of the Upanishads. That is the idea. Then, now having discussed the sun, which is only one, what else is only one in the universe? Moon. The next one, the next thing is dedicated to the moon. Kubalaya Vikasa Karanam Ajnanadvanta Kaumudi Prajnah Shuddho Munindra Chandraha Surasevye Lasati Vishnupade. So, Kubalaya Vikasa Karanam. So the the sunlight is responsible for blooming the lotus. The lotus blossoms in the presence of the sun, while, trivia, Vedanta trivia, the water lily blossoms in the presence of the light of the moon. This is what is Vedanta trivia. Okay. So what blossoms in the light of the sun? Lotus. What blossoms in the moonlight? Water lily. Lily. Okay, so Kuvalaya, lily here. So Kuvalaya Vikasa Karanam, that which is the cause of the blossoming of the water lily. Again, the heart. It's just a different, it's so beautiful. It just keeps on going like this. It's very, very nice. So Kuvalaya Vikasa Karanam, the cause of the blooming of the water lily. And then how does the water lily blossom? Water lily in the form of the heart blossoms by Ajnana Dvanta Kaumudi Prajnah. So Ajnanadvanta means the one who dispels the darkness of ignorance with its cool light. Kaumudi, moonlight. So the Pragyaha, the Yati, who is all knowledgeable, who is enlightened, who has self-knowledge. The Yati is the Pragya. And what does the Yati do? The Yati spreads the moonlight, which dispels the darkness of ignorance. And how does it do it? Softly. I mean, moonlight is soft. Even sunlight, you can say, I can't even look at the sun. Here you can look at the moon and enjoy the moonlight. And in that soft unfoldment of the knowledge, one is totally, totally transformed. That is the idea. So, Kuvalaya Vikasa Karanam Ajnana Dhvanta Kaumudi Pragyaha. So, who is this Pragyaha? The Pragyaha, the one of self-knowledge, is the cause of blossoming the the water lily hearts of all the people who are struck by, who are struck by self-ignorance. The cool moonlight that dispels the darkness of self-ignorance. And Shuddha Munindra Chandraha. So the Indra of all the Munis, the sage of all the sages, the best, the most exalted among the sages, is free of Papa Punya, himself, herself, and like the moon, Lasati shines where? Vishnu Pade. Vishnu Pada we'll talk in detail, but here it means in the abode of oneness. In that abode of oneness, Lasati dances, shines, shines, flickers, dances, shines. And what kind of Vishnu Pada? What kind of abode of Vishnu? In that abode of oneness, which is Sura Sevya, worshipped by the gods, worthy of being worshipped by the gods. And why? Why is this abode worshipped by the gods? The abode of oneness is desired also by all the devatas. In the Upanishad, we see Indra pursuing this knowledge. Indra, who is the king of heaven, still feels incomplete and pursues this knowledge. Another celestial also we see, who is that? Narada. We see Narada pursuing this knowledge. We see Indra pursuing this knowledge. We see who else? This Agni, Vayu, all these celestials pursuing this knowledge. Yama pursues this knowledge. How do we know? Because he is able to teach Nachiketa, so he must have also pursued this knowledge. So all the devatas want this knowledge. Sura Sevya, this Pada, the Pada means goal. The end is called Pada. So it is called the Pada of Vishnu. It's not some place like Vaikuntha or anything like that. That is not how it should be taken. It is Pada means it's not like the abode of Lord Vishnu, but Vishnu means all pervasive. All pervasive. So the one that is all pervasive, that the abode of that all pervasive Atma, Brahman, which is without a second, reaching again, because one has already reached, one has to know. So reaching which, gaining which, one is free of sorrow. One is free of pain. One is free of all kinds of issues. So reaching which one is free of all kinds of issues, that kind of an abode one has reached, and reached means gained through this knowledge. And that is what the Muni, that's why it is called Munindra Chandraha. So the moon in the form of this Muni, Lasati means shines and in the abode of Vishnu, abode of this oneness. That oneness which is even craved for, longing, even the gods long for this. Because this is what Lord Yama tells Nachiketa in the Kathopanishad. Devaihi api vichikitsa pura. This Atma knowledge has even been looked for and analyzed by the Devas, because it is, it is very much everybody wants this knowledge. Everybody is literally longing for this knowledge. But how did you become a deva without this knowledge? You don't need a knowledge to become a deva. You need punya vishesha. You need lot of punya. And then you become a deva, and then you wish you were back in the human realm where you could pursue this knowledge. This is what happens. Okay. Yeah. So the yati causes the hearts to bloom in the oneness as the cool light of the moon. The wisdom is the light of the moon. The yati is the moon itself. And then makes these water lily type jivas who are craving to be opened by this knowledge of oneness, makes them open and reach the abode of oneness, understand that they are that abode of oneness which is longed for even by the devatas. Very nice. And then another one. So first he was, now this is all these sky metaphors. First he was what? He, she, the yogi was what? Sun. And then after sun, what did he, she become? Moon. Now we have to visualize the yogi as a cloud, rain cloud. Okay, it's all in this space of consciousness, Chid Gagana. So now let us read the next one. स्वानन्दामृतशेकैः अन्तरसन्तापसन्ततिं शमयन् चित्रमचञ्चलवृत्तिः चिद्व्योम्नि भाति योगिवर्यघनः. Antara, not Antara, yeah. Swanandamrita sekaihi antara santapa santatim shamayan. Chitram achanchala vrittihi chidvyomni bhati yogivarya ghanaha. Yogivarya ghanaha means the yogi of yogis. The most exalted of ascetics. What happens? Shines again. Bhati shines. Shines not as the sun now, not as the moon either, but as the cloud. Then you can have an argument with me, or you can ask a question: how does the cloud shine? Cloud is not supposed to shine. In fact, cloud stops the sun from shining. That's what we think. But here, shines means abides. Because the yogi is the shining self. And the shining self must not be taken literally here. Shines with this knowledge of oneness. So the rain cloud here is heavy with the knowledge that frees one from samsara. So in that way, shines means appears as evident. That's what it means, shines, okay? Appears as evident. So the yogi varya, ghanaha means the cloud. So the yogi cloud, the yogi rain cloud, the exalted yogi rain cloud shines. So, and then where Chidvyomni, in the space of consciousness. That is all same. Same as in the previous verse, which is also the same as in the previous verse. Where does the moon go? In the space. And where does the sun wander? Move in space. Where does the cloud wander? In space. In space. And what is this space? The space of awareness, free of guilt, hurt, pain, sorrow. That is the space. So, Yogi Varya Ghanaha, the yogi, the exalted yogi cloud, Chid Vyomni Bhati. Bhati shines in the space of consciousness. Makes a wonderful picture, Chitram, very picturesque cloud. Like when you draw a nice grey cloud, maybe the sun is behind it and some diffused rays are coming out. There is a silver lining, you can say, and that's why it shines. You can imagine, no? And then what kind of a cloud? Achanchala, an unmoving cloud, meaning it's ready to rain. If the cloud is driven away by the wind, no rain comes. The cloud is there, but then a big wind comes from a certain direction, and then what does it do? It disperses the clouds. But an unmoving cloud, which is there, nice, dark, and gathered there, you for sure know it is going to rain. Correct? That is the idea here. Very, very beautiful. So, what is that unmoving cloud? What is that unmovingness? That achanchala vritti, the vritti of oneness, which we just talked about, the knowledge of oneness shines through this cloud, and that knowledge of oneness is the potential rain which is being held by the yogi cloud. The yogi is the cloud, a dense cloud, ghana. So the yogi is this dense rain cloud holding the vritti jnanam, the knowledge of oneness within herself, himself, and then staying in one place in this in the vast realm of awareness, in the vast space of awareness, unmoving, picturesque rain cloud, staying right there. What does it do? What does it rain? It rains Ananda Vritti, Swananda Vritti, and Amrita Vritti. It rains the knowledge of immortality. It rains that knowledge of Ananda. Whose Ananda? One's own Ananda, Swananda. And sekaihi. Seka means the shinchanam, the abhishinchanam, the sprinkling. Yeah, sprinkling. You see, because if it is a terrible downpour, it's not enjoyable. Yeah, can you go sit in a downpour? No, you can't stand in a downpour. You just feel like running and catching some shelter. And it, because it is sharp rains, it's not fun. But a small sprinkling of a drizzle, an auspicious drizzle. It's almost there, it's almost not there. Is it fog? Is it rain? You wonder. But there is this just a little sprinkle. It's sprinkling. There you say, ah, nice. On a hot, hot day, you stand under the sprinkle, and then you, in the sprinkle of this cloud, you feel good. And then that is exactly what you can imagine. So what is this sprinkle? The sprinkle is this little teaser of the knowledge of oneness. Tattvamasi, the sprinkle of Mahavakya, which is yet to be unfolded, yet to be internalized. The sprinkle of the knowledge, a small hint of the knowledge. You are not this body. Oh, thank God. Immediate relief. You are not the sum total of your pains and sorrows. Thank goodness. You are not your feelings. You are not your sickness. You are not your omissions and commissions. You are not any your hurt, guilt. You are not any residue of the papa. Nothing you are. You are not any of these things. What are you? You are Ananda. So those kinds of sprinkles, what does it do? Shamayati. It puts a cessation. It stops in its tracks. What? Santapa santatim shamayati. Santapa means afflictions. The afflictions do not come by themselves. They bring a whole parampara, they bring a whole generation of them. First affliction, oh my God, I'm subject to death. Oh, and I have a fever coming on. Is it COVID? Is it something worse? Oh my God, I have a pain. Maybe I have a lump in my throat. Or is it cancer? Oh my God, what is happening? And then that is the affliction. Okay. Does it stop there? No. It brings a santati. Santati means it brings along its children, its grandchildren, its great grandchildren, its great 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 grandchildren, making you completely colonizing the mind and the heart, making you mad, fit to be tied. Okay. And so, what is the children of this thought? What are the child of this thought? The child of this thought is, oh my God, what about my loved ones? If it is cancer, how will I tell them? This is what the person thinks. And then after that, oh, I don't have the money for the treatment. And will the treatment work? I don't know. I don't have money for treatment. Where will I go? And what will happen to my children? What will happen to my grandchildren? And what will happen to all of these things? What will happen to my money? What will happen to my house? Will I have to sell my house in order to afford the treatment? Oh no. Will all the loved ones leave me? Will my friends avoid me? And all these things. This is the santapa. Santapa is already there. The worry is there, the affliction is there. And the santapa santati. And the santati means its children, it burgeons. Any kind of worry burgeons into these needless thoughts. And so all of them are immediately made shanta by this knowledge. And what is the knowledge? In the form of a pleasant drizzle, which immediately cools off all the affliction. And the present pleasant drizzle is in the form of one's own ananda and the knowledge that one is not subject to pain, to sorrow, to affliction. Afflictions can come perhaps and affect the body, but not the person who is in fact like the yogi with this knowledge, non separate from this yogi. So the yogi now is the teacher moving around in space like a dense cloud of ananda and of oneness in the form of these thoughts of these little drizzles. The drizzles are that thought which is in the form of the teaching of this oneness, which makes the yogi free of, which makes the people with a host of afflictions, with generational afflictions, completely quieten, completely come, the afflictions come to a standstill in the face of this knowledge. See how beautiful? Very, very nice. So now, enough of this moving about in space. Okay, we change the we change the metaphor a little bit. So now we are in the garden. So what kind of garden? Filled with fragrant and beautiful flowers. Okay, and then who is the yogi? The yogi is the cool wind spreading the fragrance. Very nice. Okay, so let us read this. So let me share the text. I have to share the text. सुमनः सौरभमञ्जुल सञ्चारनिवारिताखिलश्रान्तिः संयमि चारुसमीरः विहरत्यानन्दसंविदारामे. Very beautiful. So, Sumanaha, Saurabha Manjula, meaning the beautiful garden, the garden. Garden here is Arama. Arama is garden because you don't get Arama after going there. That's why you can revel in it. That's why it is. So, in this garden filled with fragrant flowers, fragrant flowers who, uh, uh, which have the power of removing all exhaustion. The exhaustion comes from wrong thinking, really. Physically, one can be exhausted. Why? Because you did lot of work. Okay, one day you are tired, but that is just a local exhaustion. For that, the remedy is rest. That's all. You're tired, take rest. You're sick, go to the doctor. This is just at the level of the body. But then, most of the time, one suffers from mental exhaustion. Shranti here is mental exhaustion. And why? Because the physical exhaustion travels to the mind because the I notion is very much there with the body. Because of the Dehatma Buddhi, the I notion, it travels to the mind, it travels to the senses, etc. And as a result, there is no respite. So the physical exhaustion will also not get better, because the mental exhaustion is now compounding the physical exhaustion. Physically, one is tired, okay, go rest. That's not what the person does. What does the person do? Why I'm tired? What's happening? I'm getting old. Oh no, now I won't even be able to do one thing. One day the person is not able to go for a walk. The body feels heavy, and you put one foot in front of the other. You just take a short walk, you come back, you're not able to do it. Okay, no problem. Take rest. No, no, no. What's happened to me? I have to get my 10,000 steps in. When am I going to do that? At this rate, I'll get fat. This is all mental exhaustion. The poor body does not even have time to recover, because the mind is now suppressing the body and making, and affecting the rate of recovery. Absolutely. Because thoughts are powerful. They have a way of doing this. And so therefore, this Vishranti, the Shranti, the tiredness is a very compounded, complex tiredness brought on by Dehatma Buddhi. So, Dehameva Atma iti Buddhi. Deha eva Atma iti Buddhi. The body itself is Atma iti Buddhi. So the body itself is I. This kind of a thinking, that is what compounds this exhaustion. It's a exhaustion, samsaric exhaustion. And then what happens? Then the yogi says, come to my garden, and takes you to this garden of wonderful wild flowers. What are these flowers? The flowers of the oneness, the flowers of the knowledge of the oneness of the Upanishads. Fragrant flowers. The first fragrant flower is what? It is the beautiful rose, having the fragrance, Tattvamasi fragrance. The other one has Aham Brahmasmi fragrance. The third one has some other Prajnanam Brahma fragrance, the Mahavakya, the knowledge of oneness, which is in the form of the fragrant, beautiful message of the Upanishads. Then if the fragrance is there, what spreads the fragrance? Air. The wind spreads the fragrance. And who is the wind? Samiraha, Charu Samiraha, the gentle wind. The gentle breeze. Actually, we shouldn't even call it wind. It's the gentle breeze in the form of the great sage who moves around. Viharati Ananda Samvidarame, moves around in the garden of the Atma, in the garden of the Ananda Atma. Samvid means Atma. So, in the garden of the knowledge of the I, the one who moves spreads the fragrance in the form of the gentle wind, which removes the samsaric exhaustion in the form of all kinds of mental afflictions. And so, Sanyami means the what kind of a breeze? It's a controlled breeze. Sanyami means the one who has a say over the mind. That is what is called Sanyami. Sanyamin. So the Sanyami is the one who has a mind that is not swayed. Even though the person is in the form of a gentle breeze, the person is unmoving inside. Breeze in the form of the teachings wafts gently in the mind, in the exhausted minds exhausted by fighting with samsara, fighting with oneself, fighting with others, always battling, fighting with one's own resistance, fighting with one's own lack of shraddha. And so here, the Sanyami, the epitome of mind management, this one, the one who is able to manage the mind, manage oneself very beautifully, like a gentle breeze, spreads the fragrance of these lovely Upanishad flowers all over the garden of the Atma. Very beautiful. Very, very, very nice. Next one, let's see what that is there. Is the next one. Next one is very nice. It's now the yogi is still in the garden, I think. Yeah, no, not garden. we have now moved to the forest. Okay. So first in space for 3 verses, then in the garden for 1 verse, and I think we'll come back to the garden, but right now we are in a kind of a forest. Not even a forest, a grove, a sacred grove. That is what we have to visualize. And what is the yogi? A peacock. The national bird of India, the king of birds, peacock. See, this is how you have to visualize. You can't, write poetry if you're visualizing the yogi as a sparrow. Small little thing, No. If you visualize, it has to be rich. The yogi is an unusual thing. The peacock is an unusual bird. That's how it is. Big bird, colorful bird. So this is how the yogi is like a peacock. Let us read this one. Let us chart this one. निःश्रेयस सरस फले निर्मल विज्ञान पल्लव मनोज्ञे वीत भये विपिन तले यतिशिति कंठो विभाति कोऽप्येकः को अपि एकः यति somebody someone somewhere could be possible. Actually he's talking about himself and all other jnanis, but he's because of his humility, ko api one person, because this knowledge everybody does not get very easily because of the proliferation of raga, dvesha and resistance. And so therefore one person somewhere gets this knowledge, and then, and what does this person, who is this yati? Yati Shitikantaha. Shitikantaha means the cool throated one. And this blue throated, cool throated one, what is that? Peacock. So the peacock Vibhati shines where Vita Bhaye Vipinatale, in the forest of no fear. Not a forest, what did I call it? Grove. In the grove of no fear. In the fearless grove. So in the fearless grove, Vipinatale, underneath the fearless grove, the peacock moves around. This wonderful peacock in the form of the sage, in the form of the mendicant, moves around in this grove. What kind of a grove? Free from fear. So why should I go there? What is there in the form? What is there? Nishreyasa sarasa phale. Sarasa means full of juice, juicy. So the juicy fruits of moksha are there. That's why the yati is there in the form of the peacock, nibbling and enjoying the moksha, the juice of the moksha fruit. Moksha fruits. And, and thank you. So this is the, I don't know where we left off. Let's go back to the text once again. I have to share the text again. Give me a minute. Yes. So this is what we are on. Then so the fruits are liberation, moksha, and the nirmala vijnana pallava manognya. Pallava, here we can take leaves, or we can take it as flowers. Okay, yeah. So leaves or flowers of knowledge of oneself as free of all kinds of afflictions. That is the knowledge. So the knowledge of oneself as free of all kinds of afflictions, they are the flowers. And then what is the fruit? Fruit is the result of this knowledge, that the flower turns into the fruit. So the flower is knowledge of oneness, which is free of being any, being this body, being this mind, etc., being confined being confined by time and space. So this knowledge of oneness, the knowledge of liberation, those are the flowers, and the fruit is the liberation itself. So in this wonderful knowledge of oneness, which has its fruits of liberation, The Yati peacock wanders happily in the grove of fearlessness, rests or shines or rests in the grove of fearlessness. Rests in the grove of fearlessness, and we can imagine like a sacred grove, and it rests in that grove of fearlessness. That is what it is, this wonderful peacock, which is the ascetic. Because the peacock is, you can make it out, it is there, and that is a very beautiful, very nice. Then next one, let's see what the next one is a swan. Okay, peacock ho gaya, finished. And now we come to the swan metaphor. Again, a very famous metaphor, very much famous, is used everywhere. And so swan, here is called hams, and a sage is called paramahamsa. So that's why there is a nice pun. And Hamsa is actually not a swan. Hamsa is a mythical bird which was accredited with the power of being able to separate milk from water. A bane for all Indian milkmen. Okay, yeah, who are supposed to give 50, half and half. In India, half and half means something else. In America, half and half means half cream, half milk. But in India, half and half means what? Half water and half milk. Half and half. So, if you give this hamsa half and half, it will siphon off the milk and leave the water. It has that ability to do that. How clever it is. And so, it is revered and it is compared to the sage. Paramahamsa is the sage. Why? Because the sage also has the ability to take the Satchidananda and throw away the Jagat. Like yesterday we saw, like the earlier class we saw, like the loofah, like a dried out gold. Yeah. So it is able to take the Satchidananda, able to take that which is the truth of this universe, which is the truth of oneself, which is Brahman, which is Atma, which is Atma Tattva, which is that which because of which everything shines. Satyam, because of which the whole Mithya world shines. The dependent reality shines, because of which does not depend on anything. This it's able to take. The sage is able to take and throw away the chaff of the jagat. And that is why the sage is called Paramahamsa. So there is a nice pun also that goes around here. Nissara bhuvanam, Nissara bhuvanam, Nissara bhuvanamarutalam, Utsaryananda Sarapurne. वरसरसि चिन्मयेऽस्मिन् परमहंसः कोऽपि दीव्यति स्वैरम्. Some Paramahamsa divyati. Divyati can be shines, or we can take it as kridati also. Plays. Everything becomes a play because one does not take the afflictions seriously as real. That which is real is that I which is free of all afflictions. So the afflictions are an as though projection of the Atma, so that it is not taken as real. So far, the whole world is a playground for this kind of a ascetic. So the ascetic is like the whole universe is like a playground. You just play because you don't take anything serious. It's like children. So the children don't have any kind of huge fears and worries. They don't have to pay bills. So they can play with anything. Or small puppies, kittens. They don't have to say, oh, how am I going to get my cat food tomorrow? They're not worried about it. So they can make anything into a toy. A box becomes a toy for a child, for a cat. They'll go in and out of the big box and then they'll play. And a small string, it fascinates them. They play. They play with everything. This is what happens. They play, and then this is how they will overcome. The yati he has overcome samsara by understanding that the whole world is nothing but a playground. And in the playground, you are happy. And the playground is very attractive. You never want to go anywhere. You just can be there in the playground all day. And so that is what this, so Kopi Divyati Swairam. Swairam means Swechaya. By one's own freedom, freely plays. And where does the person plays? Vara Sarasi, in the clear lake. Vara Sarasi, clear lake of sweet water lake. Vara Sarasi. Vara means varisht, in a beautiful lake. In the placid lake, in the clear placid lake of Chitmaya, which is Chitmaya, Chinmaya. In the Chinmaya lake. Chinmaya means which is all Chit. Swarthe Mayat Pratyaya. Swarthe means this Maya, which is the suffix here, doesn't have any other meaning other than itself. So it is nothing but Chit, nothing but consciousness. So the consciousness is the placid lake in which the I, in the form of the Paramahamsa, the ascetic, who is enlightened of her own nature, plays freely. How is this possible to play? Because where was this ascetic before they became an ascetic? Nissara Bhuvana Marutala. In Marutala means desert. In the desert, which was Nissara, no juice. Dry, arid, cracked land desert, which is samsara. And the only thing to do with the desert of samsara is to desert it. This utsaranam has been done. Utsarati means drives off. So, utsarya, having driven off, having discarded, having abandoned, having driven off the desert from the heart. The heart is like a desert. Why? Because one feels deserted by everybody. One feels deserted by God. One feels lonely. There is nothing going on. It's all dry. And one wants to fill it up. One wants to plant certain things in the desert. Can you plant anything in the desert except cacti? No. And one feels all thorny like a cactus, irritable, itchy because of the sun, prickly like a cactus one is. And one is hoarding water because one doesn't know where to get the next drop of water, when it will come, one doesn't know. And then what? And then one is trying to plant some other trees in the desert. How will that thrive? It will all die. So the heart is like this desert. For the samsari, for the ajnani, the heart is like a desert filled with all kinds of pains, sorrows, arid, and nothing wonderful going on. So, Utsarya, abandoning that desert, driving off that desert with the cool rain of knowledge, then Ananda Sarapurne Varasarasi. So, one moves to occupy the placid lake of Ananda, which is all Chinmaya, which is all in the form of pure awareness consciousness. How does one to have this change of? Do you buy a ticket from Arizona to Colorado or something like that? What do you do? How do you go from the desert to a wonderful lake vacation? How do you do that? Well, through the train or the plane of knowledge. That knowledge has the power to convert this heart, which is akin to a dry desert where nothing grows and which is hopeless, prickly, annoying, fearful, and it converts that into into what it really is. The desertification is an as though projection, and what is under the desert is the cool water of consciousness, which is really the truth of oneself. And the yati, abandoning the samsara of this consciousness, freely moves in this wonderful lake. So we'll stop here. There were a couple of questions. I don't see them because I had to log on again. But maybe, maybe somebody sees them and you can tell me that. Okay. Yeah. ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्तिः 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 हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ do you remember what questions you asked? Is the person who asked the person or people who asked the questions still here? If so, please ask the questions again, because since I had to log on again, they have gone away. If not, we will close here and then we will meet again at India time 6 o'clock. Thank you. Om Tat Sat.